weather's terrible, so baseball season must be around the corner. Are you starting to feel it and get excited here?
Oh, absolutely. Our guys have been out here for about a handful of days now, just doing some individual work. But I'll tell you what, they came back in great shape, and I'm pleasantly surprised with how good of shape they're in, and you can just tell that they've done some stuff during the break that kind of really gets me excited. Just knowing that the seriousness with which they're taking it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and as we get going here into the season with the vaccine, with these sports that have completed their season, is there a growing sense of optimism for you that y'all be able to get this season in?
We're going to get it in. There's no doubt. The vax. I mean, our guys, we're outside. We're really not around each other all that much on the field. I think everybody would tell you that if people are getting it, it's not where they're competing. It's usually away from the field or the court or whatever it is. So, I'm very optimistic with our guys and kind of how they went through the whole fall with once we started our team practice. We didn't have any positive cases or contact tracing or anything like that. So, um, we're going to be fine in regards to our season. There's no doubt about that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I wanted to ask you, you got Andy coming back. He's a guy that's been around. Is he getting the Richie Cunningham treatment yet for being around here so long?
I told Richie that, I mean, just imagine if he was like just had one more year, he could have had that year back and then add another one. He could have like probably had 6 degrees by the time he came out of here. But Andy, I mean, he's a guy who wanted to come back. He really did. He wants to finish up. He wants to go to law school. He wants to do some really neat things off the field. So I'm really glad he has chosen to do that.
And finally, I mean, just having the finality of approving the schedule and kind of knowing what you're looking at this spring, how much does that help you guys?
I mean, hell, what's funny is our conference schedule has been set for a while. There's been some minor modifications to it, whether we were going to go 3 games or 4 games, and then how many days we were going to have to play those games was kind of more the question. But our schedule itself has been completely redone with travel restrictions and just COVID protocols. It's been completely revamped. So we've had to start from scratch in the past 3 weeks. That's what I've been doing.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Go over to Bryce Cherry.
Morning, Rod.
What's up, Bryce?
Oh, not much. You talked about before about, managing kind of the roster that you're going to have, the extra guys with the newcomers that are coming in combined with, all the guys that you have back. Who are the newbies that, could crack the lineup?
Well, I think there's quite a few of them. I'm trying to go through our roster right now. I know like Jack Pineda is an infielder. He has a chance. Antonio Valdez, Blake Chapin, our football player, our quarterback who's joined us for this spring. Very, very talented kid. Having the opportunity to watch him hit and watch him take ground balls, I think people are really going to like him. We have a young man, left-handed pitcher, outfielder Cam Kaley, which I think people are really going to like. He is a very talented. It's very few times in my career I've actually had somebody who can do 2 things as well as he does. So he's going to be another interesting one to watch. JD Gregson behind the plate. We're going to get him back there a little bit. Very good defender, can really throw, and kind of excited about him as well. But we have, there's I know there's quite a few of them. Like with Luke Thompson and Childers, and there's quite a few guys. I'm just kind of going through. We have quite a few pitchers, and plus all the guys coming back from last year. It's going to be a really fun opportunity for us to manage the roster to make sure that we're getting guys enough playing time with the kind of the uniqueness of the schedule.
And then with that, I mean, the guys that are coming back, were there guys in the fall who kind of especially stepped up or, are playing particularly well?
I think a lot of them. I'll tell you what, Kyle Nevin was a big one, I think, for us, who showed some big power. Esteban Cardoza, Kendo was another one who played really well. Trey Richardson is healthy now, and he played really well. Andy did a good job. Evan Godwin was pitching well. I mean, Blake Helton was one who was a really nice, pleasant surprise for us. Did a lot of good work over the extended summer break, and but him and Tyler Thomas, I think, were huge in regards to like when they came back. You could see there was a noticeable difference to him that is going to be very beneficial for our program.
Let's go over to Steven Simcox.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. On the schedule front, you mentioned revamping that non-conference schedule. So just from like a format perspective, are you looking at typically playing, your midweek game and then the weekend series, or is that still kind of up in the air? How's that going just on day of the week and that kind of thing?
That's a really good question. We're maneuvering some of those things right now. The weekends are still going to be there. We're probably going to have we're trying to play a few more 4-game weekends with our non-conference if possible. But we still have a bunch of Tuesday games and a couple Wednesday games in the mix. So I don't think anything in regards to that, in regards to formatting, will change, just because we still have certain protocols that we're going to have to maintain with our days off from the NCAA, the testing protocols that we'll have to do just based on our conference and our school. So there's still certain things that we're going to have to do that are going to have to fit within those guidelines.
And then just one more on the roster front, you talked about, the competition and having so many guys. How important is it for everyone just to stay ready with the possibility of losing somebody to contact tracing or COVID protocols or whatever could happen during the season?
Oh, that's one of the things that we have already discussed with them, is that, the opportunity is going to be huge for people and they have to be ready. There's going to be times I'm not going to have the opportunity to say, hey, you're going to be starting 5 days from now. It could be you're starting tomorrow, or I need you to go in and you're going to throw 2 innings on this day, just because we just don't know with the testing protocols and things. And when we get the results, how those things are going to play out. But all of our infielders know they're going to have to learn how to play every position, just in case something happens with contact tracing. So it's going to be really important for our guys to be really flexible. And I'll be honest, Stephen, they have done an amazing job so far, just throughout the fall and into this early part of the spring, where they just understand that it's just going to be different and they're rolling with it. Like it's been pretty impressive.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Let's go to Jerry Hill next.
Rod,
Jerry,
what's up, buddy?
hi.
Hey, I was wondering if you were in favor of, did you like the potential of a 4-game conference schedule? And I mean, were you disappointed when that didn't happen? And what schedule number are you on now?
What schedule number am I on? Explain that.
In terms
like how many
of,
different schedules have I had?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of calls and a lot of text messages. I've probably never delved into a schedule this much, just in regards to the frequency of which I'm having to deal with moving games around and adding and subtracting, and just trying to make sure it all works. That's probably the toughest part. But what was the first part of your question again, Jerry?
Just in terms of, I know there was the proposal or whatever of a potential 4-game conference schedule. Was that something you wanted, you liked, or didn't like? Or
I like the idea of 4 games in 4 days. I think a lot of us really like that, just because it gave players an opportunity to kind of gather themselves a little bit. And when you're trying to do 4 games in 3 days, a doubleheader, it becomes very trying. Just when we have some weather issues here in the Big 12, and sometimes what you don't want to do is end up playing 4 games in 2 days if something gets canceled. That's the frustrating part. So just because of the amount of teams that we have in Texas and the opportunities that we have, but we also allowed ourselves the opportunity, if things go south in a hurry, where series are getting canceled and games aren't going the way they're supposed to in regards to total number of them, we've given ourselves the opportunity to say, hey, now we're going to pivot to 4 games just to make sure we get enough games in.
you mentioned Blake Shapen. How is that going to work in terms of, I mean, obviously he's got a spring football coming up too. Is he completely yours this spring, or how's that going to work?
We're phasing it in. So I had a great meeting with Coach Aranda, and right now he's going to be with us for the first couple weeks until they start some of their football school activities And so he'll have to meet with them like for 2 hours a week. He'll go over there and do some stuff. And then once the middle of March hits, when they start their spring football, then we're going to have to revisit and find out which days he can actually be out here. The biggest thing for us is just making sure that he understands all the different plays, all the different things we're putting in. But we can be really flexible with our schedule just because we have the ability to go later, go earlier. I can have him hit later, take ground balls. I'm not overly concerned about that part of it, but it's just making sure that he does what he needs to do to learn all the plays that he may have to learn, whether it's at short, third, or second base.
Thanks, Rod.
You bet.
Go over to Drake Toll.
Hey, Rod, kind of on the same lines with Blake Shapen. And from what you've seen of him in workouts, is he a baseball guy?
Oh, absolutely. He is absolutely a baseball guy. His hands work really well. He's got really good power. He goes the other way really, really good, which I wasn't expecting just because, usually kids, when they first come out, their initial instinct is to pull a lot of balls, and he didn't do that. His arm, just being a quarterback, you know how good it is. But watching him make some throws and make some plays at short, when we had him at practice the other day, was really impressive. I just, there's certain things that he does, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. So just as a baseball guy, watching his instincts, watching the way his feet work, watching the way his hands work, it's right now, it's just a matter of him getting reps, and that's what we're going to try to do as quickly as we can.
Sweet. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Go back to Bryce Jerry.
Rod, in terms of fans this spring, is that something that is a Big 12 decision on how many, what capacity you can have? Is that a Baylor thing? And then do you feel like baseball is maybe uniquely equipped, let's say, to kind of handle this a little bit better just because you can space out, you're outside, that kind of thing?
I think the biggest thing is, well, first of all, the fans, that's going to be a state and CDC and a county guideline. So I believe right now we're at 25%. And so we're going to stay at that unless they tell us different. I don't see us going up, but I also don't really see us going down. That was actually a question I actually asked yesterday. So but I believe that it's going to be at 25%. And I think you're right. Baseball is unique. We aren't really next to each other a lot, except for in the dugout. But we're in an outdoor arena. Guys are moving around all the time. We're really not stagnant too much. So I think baseball has a really good path in regards to this. Now that we've been around each other and we've kind of, I don't want to say like, when you're next to some people quite a bit, you just kind of get used to that, germs or whatever it is that you're going to have to deal with. It's not like there's something new coming in. So, but I think our guys are around each other so much that we've kind of gotten used to it.
Go back to Matt Roberts.
Yeah, Coach, a lot of sports have gone to more regional schedules for this year. Is that something that y'all are looking at or are doing? And how beneficial is it to have so many quality programs in the state of Texas?
Well, the biggest thing is the non-conference weekends, which I think kind of became part of an issue when schools couldn't travel. Some schools can, but some can't. It really was just based off their state, based off their school. And so we were that was getting revamped on a daily basis. And then, people would say, hey, we want to come out. Let me get approval from my administration. The administration would say no. Then we'd have to start all over again. But we're going to have some regional games. We'll have some teams flying in. But like I do think there might be an issue or two as we go, and then we're going to have to pivot real quick, or our goal is just to never have anything canceled, like a weekend or something like that. So, but as baseball players and as coaches, we're so used to adjusting on the fly. We know that if I needed to call Texas A&M and go, hey, can I jump in your series, with whoever it is, we'd be able to do that. And I've already talked to Rob over at A&M, and he said, oh, absolutely, just let us know. And, I think all of us understand that it's unique times, so we're going to have to make some adjustments according to that. But at the same time, making sure that we all get the opportunity to play our games.
Thanks, Coach.
Let's go to Pat Combs.
Hey, Rod.
Hey, Pat.
Just in a look at the team, the three phases: offense, defense, pitching. What are you most excited about, and where do you think the biggest opportunities of growth are?
Oh man. I think trying to develop a personality for our team is probably the biggest part of growth. Trying to figure out what we're going to do really well. Watching two teams inter squad and play against each other with the competitive nature that they had was really exciting to see with the level of competition, with the level of talent on each team. That was really fun to watch, knowing that our depth, I think, is probably our strength. The depth that we have at all the different positions is going to be a key this year, obviously, just because if anybody tests positive or any of their contact tracing issues. So I think those are going to be keys for us just because, uh, I don't know if we really had that kind of depth um, defensively and offensively in the past. Pitching wise, I mean, I think we have 27, 28 pitchers right now. So, I mean, there is a number of arms that are going to have an opportunity to go out there and just making sure that we put them in the right spots to make sure they succeed. But I'll tell you what, the young arms in the staff are going to be really fun to watch grow. They really are.
Now, just look at the conference. Who are you considering the top 3 or 4 teams this year in Big 12?
Texas Tech, obviously, they have a lot of guys returning. Same thing with TCU. They probably have like the oldest team in the country. They have a lot of guys coming back who are like 5th, 6th-year seniors. I think Oklahoma is going to have a really good pitching staff. This year they lost a lot of arms, but I think they rebuilt it really well. They had a lot of really talented kids come in. And then Texas probably has one of the best 1-2 punches in their Friday, Saturday starters. So, but just like a lot of us have kind of talked about, it doesn't do any good if they get knocked out for coronavirus or contact tracing and stuff. So I think the big thing for us is just trying to keep everybody as healthy as possible, keep everybody ready to go, just because you may have a spot start like on a day when you're really not expecting it. But the key is just to make sure that everybody knows that every day is going to be different. The roster could be different just because of who we have in the dugout and who's not in the dugout.
Yeah, last question I've got is just in an ideal season, what has to happen for you guys to make a deep run this year?
I think we need to stay healthy. Not really coronavirus based, but just arm based. I think our pitchers need to stay healthy. I think we need to have a couple surprises. I always kind of say that you need somebody who surprises you and plays really well. If your stars of the team need to play like stars, and then your support cast, which guys are, you need to have them like play in the middle or a tick above the average. And so that's usually the biggest thing. But my personal opinion is you got to stay healthy. When you're healthy, then you have an opportunity to do some really good things. When you're not healthy, you're usually trying to put band-aids on certain things and it doesn't go well.